All right, let me call the meeting to order by going through the roll call. Jocelyn,
Here.
Stan,
I'm here.
Roy,
Here.
and Dick is here. Emily will not be here this evening. Our first item is approval of the minutes. I would like to have Cheryl go through this with me. Cheryl, on 9/18, that was a meeting before the vote on the school.
That was at the school for a special town meeting.
Right. Now, we had the meeting in the cafeteria, if you remember, and we questioned the school people. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Okay. And the the only thing that occurred at that meeting is we went around the table if anyone had any questions, and only I had questions and Stan had a comment.
Correct.
Do you have any recollection of that?
I do, although I can't tell you what your question was.
Okay. Well, I can get that for you because I would like to get those minutes written up. I think
Okay.
they're important. It was a very short meeting, only lasted about 7 or 8 minutes.
Correct.
And then the 5/6/24 meeting was our last meeting before the ATM.
Yes.
And all we did was discuss the 4 items that were of interest to the finance committee to see if there were any questions we wanted to raise. And we took the vote. Do you recall that?
I wasn't there. I was in the cafeteria because that's where we had posted to meet.
Okay, well, between you and I think we can get that written because that ought to be posted too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a question about that too, Dick. That same thing you're mentioning, the Monday, May 6th at 6:15, we met in the cafeteria.
You were up on stage. It was posted for the cafeteria.
But we
we,
met on stage. Okay.
we were told to go to the cafeteria and then it was changed to the on stage.
I think we just voted on that one article too. It was short.
There was only, yes, and there was only one item, but we need to get it written up. Jocelyn, do you recall it?
Hold on, let me go get my notes from that meeting because maybe I wrote it down.
All right. We won't get to it tonight, but don't want us to drop the ball on these 2 meetings. The other meetings, and this is a question for you, Cheryl. We had 3 meetings. 11/18. Well,
The joint meetings with the select board.
yes. And
Yes, I'm going to ask the town clerk if they can put the meeting dates on our minutes and direct it to the actual minutes from the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, that was my question with 3 of them.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, then we'll be able to clean up our minutes. But I think there ought to be some notation that where to go to find minutes about the meeting we were part of.
Right. Yes,
Okay.
I'll ask the town clerk to connect them.
So that brings us back to 10/17. And 129, which was that's one of those meetings we don't need to do if you can get the national to the Board of Selectmen posted.
Yep.
3/14 and 5/30. You've all had over a week to review these. Are there any comments on any of them that you would like to make before I ask for a motion?
I do not have any.
Okay, not hearing it. They were pretty good. Cheryl, I really like the writer.
Yes.
With a, I
Minute taker, yeah.
can almost visualize the meeting when I read that. All right, so then I will ask for a motion to approve the 10/17/23, 3/14/24, and 5/30/24 minutes.
Dick, did you
I-
purposely leave the January 29th one? I'm sorry.
I'm skipping the January 29th because it is, although we read it and it exists as ours, it was a meeting in conjunction with the Board of Selectmen, and I think it might be better to send people there
Okay, thank you.
because it would be the entire meeting, not just our portion of it. So that's why I'm asking on those three. Is anyone willing to
Dick-
make that motion?
Dick, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for 10/17, 3/14, and 5/30.
At 5:30, that's correct.
Okay,
I'll
and-
second that.
all right, and Dick, this is Roy, and that's fine if you want to pass that motion. I will have to abstain since I did not attend the 10/17 or the 3/14 meeting.
That's correct, Roy. And so the voters will be Stan, Jocelyn, and myself.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I did second it, if you heard me. Okay.
You can second the motion or make the motion, Roy, but you can't vote on it. It's
Yes.
wonderful government rules.
Yes,
Do we have a motion on the floor? I haven't heard.
I second the motion of Jocelyn.
All right, so we have it. Is there any discussion on those three meetings only? Not hearing any, I'll go forward with a vote. Jocelyn,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Dick is a yes. Now, I would like to also record the vote from Roy Rezak on the 5:30 meeting. Do you have any questions or would you like to vote, Roy?
I would vote on the 5:30 meeting, and I agree, the minutes were very well done.
So is that a yes vote?
I would vote on the 5:30 meeting, yes.
Okay, so we have 301 and 301 on the first two and 401 on the last one. Okay, that takes care of the minutes. And we will work on the 9/18 and the 5/6 minutes with Cheryl, so we'll get those next time.
Dick, I have some notes for the 5/6 that we voted on Article 4. So do you want me to email something to you, Cheryl? So you can
To
just
Cheryl,
copy
yes,
paste it?
and any
Sure.
notes you have would be helpful, very helpful.
Yeah, I took notes like about the time and who voted and how many, like I think it's
That would be
enough.
great.
Okay,
Great, is that okay with you, Cheryl?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, good. Anything else on minutes? It feels nice to begin to get caught up, and we've got to learn to stay there too. Maybe the minute taker will help us do that. Next one is the liaison list. This list is, well, first of all, why do we have liaisons? You volunteer on the list to be the verbal person that a committee would request of you something for the finance committee. It does not make you a member of that committee, and you're not really assigned to participate in their committee. Only ask, only if asked. So, having reviewed that, I go to most of the ones that in fact, all of the ones that I'm assigned to. They don't have many questions, but every once in a while they'll say, well, what did finance say about that? And then it'll be important for us to answer them. Excuse me with the cough.
Dick, could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Having been a participatory person relative to liaison with the Board of Selectmen for a couple of years, there's a number of folks that I've dealt with before. And I note that Michelle seems to have her name on almost every one of the ones that I had been appointed to. I don't mind replacing her for what I believe here. I get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 departments, if that's so wishing of the rest of the members to do so.
Okay, will you make those 6 known to Cheryl so that we can record it as such?
I shall. Should I do that now?
I'm putting your name where Michelle's was.
Well, not all of them, Cheryl. I only volunteer for 6 of them now, so don't get ahead of me.
Or 5. Was she on more than? Oh, geez, which ones? I'm sorry.
Okay, Cheryl, the first one's the town clerk and board of registrars,
Okay, got you.
the Thayer Memorial,
Okay, so I'll take you off Memorial Day.
Board of Public Works, the DPW that we all love, the Commission on Disability, and the Public Safety, Fire and Police with Chief Everett.
Okay,
Those are all the folks that I've worked with and know, so I'm comfortable, and hopefully they're reasonably comfortable with yours truly.
All right, now, for the moment, let's leave that and move over to Roy. Roy, do you have requests that you would like to make? Or are
Okay,
you willing to accept Susan's portion, whatever you like, Roy?
okay, right. I looked at the ones for Susan and Michelle, and given the ones that Stan has decided to do, that's fine. Let me see what I had selected as next on my list.
I'm willing to trade, Roy.
Okay. All right. Let me see. The ones I had the most interested in, I have a couple of questions. The Community Development and Planning Department, does that include the Economic Development Committee, or do we want to put it there?
this is just for town departments, not committees. Well, I see you have some committees.
Yeah,
We
there are
go
some
through this
committees,
every
like there's
time.
the Planning Board, Town Forest.
Yeah. I would guess if there's an economic development committee, then it would go through the community development and planning, so.
Right. The town planner is on that committee.
Correct.
Okay, specifically. So I would volunteer for that one, having some interest there. Let's see. Stan, I think you did the smart thing to combine the public safety commissioner.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a twofer.
Yeah, right, exactly. I agree. Okay. So
Right now.
I'll take community development and planning. Let me see. I think the planning board is somewhat coupled then with that.
Should be, yes.
So I would do that one too. Let me see. Hang on a second. I'm going over my list here. The Council on Aging, I have some contacts with those folks. So I would
Okay.
propose to do that one. All right. So that's 3. Let me see, what else did I put on the list here? I could do some of these others. I don't have a whole lot of contacts with them, but I could do them. It's Community Preservation Act needs to be covered as a second person. I could do that one. All right, so that's like 4. You want me to do like how many more, Dick?
Only 6 more.
Only 6 more.
There's
Wow.
no one on water. No
Okay.
one current is on water, I should say.
Okay, I'll take one of the water roles then. All right. Let's see what else. I could do Recreation Committee, although I don't know that they have a tremendous need for finance, but okay.
Oh,
I could do that one.
they're heavily financed, heavily.
Really?
Oh, sure. first of all, we approved their budget, so I mean, that's why we are liaison to them.
They are also now wrapped in with the Health and Human Service Department.
Yeah, and the CPA.
And the CPA. Okay. All right. Well, okay. All right. So let's see what else. Is someone taking the other role on the Affordable Housing Trust?
Yeah, there's Dick, and I
Dick
just,
and- Yeah. Anyone else want that one, or I could do that? Okay, that's 7.
Very proud of you, Brian.
Okay.
What's open, Cheryl?
I'm just looking at police. Stan, did you want police also, or was it just?
Well, no, it would make sense because our chief is doing both. So, yeah, I
Right.
assumed it was going to be both. Yeah,
Oh, right, okay.
I totally agree, Stan.
thank you.
So that takes care of everyone.
Okay, animal I didn't see it, it went away.
Yeah,
Animal
sorry, I
control
thought
was
I saw
on
somebody in the
mid-2.
waiting room. One sec. I had to get off so I could see the waiting room.
Oh, okay. I mean, we don't need to have 2 on every one of them. As long as someone is assigned to each one and is available to pass on the messages and questions. Incidentally, I said you're not to participate in their meetings. I meant as a member of the finance committee, as simply as a member of the town, you certainly can participate in their meetings.
I think Jocelyn's done an outstanding job with the animal control so far. So,
It's so busy.
All right.
Okay, why don't I send this list to everybody after the meeting, and then everybody can look it over, and any changes we can make at our next meeting?
Okay, that'd be great.
Mhm.
That'd be great. All right. Any more discussion or we're saying on this? If not, let's move on to the, it's listed as a tax fairness report now. As you know, we've made the arrangement, take me off, put Roy on. Roy is chairperson of tax fairness, and he will make a report to us, but he has expressed an interest to report it to the Board of Selectmen prior to reporting it to us. And I'll honor that request. Is that correct, Roy? Did I state it correctly?
That's correct, Dick. Right. And the issue has been that both the select board meetings and my availability have changed a couple of times since we agreed to do this. And it just wound up now that the finance committee meeting is ahead of the select board meeting when we're going to do this report next week. I don't think it's appropriate to share the information here with the finance committee before they see it first. So that's why I've asked to reschedule it to the next meeting.
All right. As chair of the person, I defer to your wishes. Thank you. Anyone else have a comment on that? Not hearing any, let's move on to the next one now. Kate is not here, but she
Yeah.
sent us a 76-page, I think it was 76-page financial policy. I've been through it twice. I've read it word for word twice. I'm sure you have too, probably not word for word. I have submitted 16 questions to Kate and to Cheryl, which we don't need to go question by question tonight. I'm not asking that. And I think, Roy, you have sent some questions too. Is that correct?
Right. I've sent some questions and I've sent some inline comments in a document that was about, I'm going to say about 50% of the way through. I will finish those up and get those off to you, Cheryl.
Kate was hoping there could be a vote tonight because she wants to put it before the Board of Selectmen. for their vote, and she wants everyone aware that this is a ongoing document that can be amended during the course of the year.
So it can be amended.
Oh, yes, it can be and it should be.
So let me get it straight. We could approve what's written so far so that that can get approved by the Board of Selectmen.
Correct.
And at what point can we start to make amendments to it? As soon as it's approved?
You could start putting together the items that you feel need adjusting, and then she could review it probably for like the next quarter.
The next quarter.
The whole
All
point
right.
of this financial policy is for,
I'm very leery of approving something that we know we have a question about.
well, let me explain the point of getting this on board is she wants a financial policy document in place because it's for internal operations of day-to-day operating through the finance department for the next finance director coming in. So she wants at least something on board. It's a working document, but it's something to go by.
Would it be helpful to put it subject to ultimate approval once these questions that are being asked are answered?
Well, as all policies, they should be amended at least annually because things change. I can tell you right away that one of the systems mentioned in the policies will be extinct within the year and we'll have a whole different system. So it's an ever-changing document.
So we're just voting for it to exist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Roy, let me ask you, has anything that you have written want to substantially change what Kate has presented to us, or is it merely upgrading and additions?
Most of this is
There,
written off of Mass General Law, Chapter 44. So it is specific to the duties of the finance department.
okay. There was one section on had to do with the assessor where I think there is
No,
something
I
that
saw
is
that.
beg your
The
pardon?
2 dates. I saw the 2 dates, 9 years and
And
5 years.
Right.
There are not, it's 9 years and 5 years. That is correct.
That's correct the way it is.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. All right.
How would you feel, Roy? And I'm just asking you because I know you sent some. Would you feel that the questions you have asked, once answered, could be added to or adjusted the current policy without changing anything of significance said today?
We did, I can tell you, Kate and I did review the questions you sent earlier today.
Yeah.
And the only the items that she had comments on were about backups and specific databases and networks. She said those will fall under an IT policy and the IT director, not the finance director and finance policies.
All right, that's why I'm asking the question. We're not saying, is anyone saying no to anything that they have seen there, or are they just trying to adjust it wording wise or procedurally? I'm not saying no to anything that I read. I'm adding to it. Roy, what are your thoughts?
I guess my observations are I had some questions. The 5 versus 9 looked to me like it was incorrect, but I'll take your point there, Cheryl, that is correct. All right.
Under Mass General Law, there's 2 a year. I'm sorry, not 2 a year. One cyclical is every 9 years, and recert is every 5 years.
Okay. All right.
Does anyone else stand?
I
anyone
didn't
have any questions?
I don't, Dick. I didn't get it thorough. I got through the first 3 pages without a problem. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I
Well, I
recall, that
just-
was the title in
I
one.
know
blind
you-
date.
I know you folks are very thorough, and I trust Roy's decision, his input, and yours, Dick, as well. So you guys are happy, I'm happy. If you're not happy, I'm not
And
happy.
Dick, I would say there are some things where I think there should be some ads. I didn't see anything where I felt I really had a problem with a section. I think in general, the direction was good. There were some details I commented about, some things that I think should be added.
All right,
But maybe it's going to go in the IT policy. Okay.
what I'm getting at, Roy, and this is one of the questions I'm asking myself. If we were to accept this policy as written to date, is there anything in there that you would, or that I would substantially object to? And the answer is no, on my part. What would that
Well,
answer be with yourself?
Yeah, there's nothing in there that I would substantially object to. I would like to see some particular items done around, as we talked
Well,
about, quarter closing.
that's
And
right,
some-
and that can be done at a later date, which I want to get at, because if they're looking for an approval as written to date, that is the motion I would want, is that it's approved as written to date. As
And
presented.
of course, we'll
today.
take all your suggestions on the wordings, like Roy, you had insert the word of, that kind of thing we can
Oh,
have.
yeah, minor.
Yeah,
Yeah, minor comment. Yeah, right.
All right, is there, Jocelyn, anything you would like to add to this?
No, I started reading it, I skimmed through it, but I haven't gone through it thoroughly, but I agree. That I didn't see anything that stood out.
I can't see anything that's harmful in it at this point.
No,
I
If
didn't.
I were to say yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hinder the process of starting the process. I didn't read anything that would cause me to
All
do
right.
that.
Then knowing that it can be adjusted and within the first quarter, 3 months, and knowing we haven't had one for umpteen years. I would like a motion from someone to approve the financial policy as written to date. Subject to revisions in the future.
I'll make it easy. It's so moved as read.
Okay. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
All right. Any more discussion? Roy, Stan, Jocelyn? Cheryl, anything you'd like to add to that before we vote?
no, I'll just make a comment to, you can look up, MGL chapter 44 is what all of the financial policies are based upon, so
Yeah.
that takes precedence, so if you want to look at that, you're certainly welcome to.
Yeah, I've been through that too.
Okay,
All right, not hearing any more, ready for a vote. On the policy as written to date, subject to change in the future. Jocelyn,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Roy,
Yes.
and Dick, yes. So that's it. Now, I would, Cheryl, like to make this also a topic on the agenda for the next meeting.
sure,
Right? So that we don't go by it.
agreed.
Now, if we could have Cheryl's report on the year to date. I
We
called it
still-
year to date. I'm sorry. Maybe it isn't, Cheryl, but as close as you can come.
Yeah. As we still have, this week we do a 1-day payroll for last week because the 30th landed on a Sunday, so we have police, fire, and public works had some work on Sunday. So we have that payroll to put through, and we have the final warrant, which is being processed on Thursday. So once that's done, I can start closing the books. Right now, it looks pretty good. The outstanding real estate receivables went from 300,000 down to 235,000. So that's a plus.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Our revenues appear to be coming in higher than the estimates, especially interest really took off. So that's a big help. And then for expenditures, it appears we will be closing out. I'm not 100% right now because we have this last warrant coming through. So my guess would be between 80 and 90,000.
Say that one more time, please.
My guess would be a closeout between 80 and 90,000 of expenditures.
What did you say, more or less?
I'm sorry. 90. No, more. It would be probably $500,000.
$500,000 more?
Yeah, because you have 145,000 remaining in the reserve fund. There's 400,000 in health insurance. There's roughly 40,000 in all the highway, public works expense lines. There's 30-something thousand in police, 20-something thousand in fire. So there's some excess there.
So Cheryl, just to be clear, are these in effect expenditures not made? We didn't make that expense, so this will become in
Correct.
effect a net positive to us? Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
No, really, until I actually see the actual numbers, I'm not a big fan of approximating and estimating, but the hard numbers should be in within 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So
And
by
Cheryl,
next meeting, we'll have it.
I would hope so. Stan, were you saying something?
I just begin to say, is there any element that's not yet discernible that would cause you some consternation in that budget?
No, just knowing this last warrant is always a surprise. Either it will be very light or it will be very heavy. And I have no way of knowing that until the invoices come through my office.
Okay, thank you.
Jocelyn, any question, Jocelyn?
No, I don't have a question.
Okay, Roy?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, and I'm fine too. Thank you, Cheryl.
Yep.
I do have one question on it overall.
Yes.
This is a crazy one. Someplace I've heard we have accounts which are not allowed to earn interest. Is that a correct statement, or are all our bank accounts interest earning?
All our bank accounts are interest earning. But there are accounts that earn their own interest. And then there are, like the general fund accounts, it's one big lump account that earns interest. And that's your general fund interest.
All right. Are there any, as was stated, accounts that are not allowed to earn interest? Sounds strange to me, but
the better way for me to phrase that is, under Mass General Law, there are certain accounts that must earn their own interest.
must earn their own interest. All right, they can earn interest. We don't have any, but under the circumstances by Mass General Law. Okay, that makes more sense.
Mr. Chairman, does the Finance Committee have any input or involvement relative to the retirement benefits of our employees? I know I got involved with at one point in time with the PERAC group, the Prim Investment Management, which has done very well, by the way. I think Cheryl can attest to that. Do we have any input for any reason for that type of program, Cheryl?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
All right. And anything else with regards to Cheryl?
Not right now, no.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Now the next one is the high school bond. Cheryl, have you received anything from Ross?
Since you, Kate, and I have emailed each other. No, I've not received anything.
I've not either. If you could put up, do you have my analysis there? That you can go put up?
Let me see if I can find that. You just emailed that the other day, yes?
Yes.
And Cheryl, if you can find it, would you please send it to me? I don't think I ever got that, or at least if I did, I inadvertently maybe said goodbye to it, but
I will send it out again to everyone if they like. This is my analysis now. It is not a finance committee analysis.
okay, thank you.
Since it has become part of our conversation, it will be a public item, but I don't want anyone thinking that the finance committee did it. Basically what it did is, my understanding is the only, there it is. There it is.
Okay.
Now, if we go all the way to the top, you can see all the original amount and then the adjusted amounts. There you go. The students, and if you go to the far right, you'll see the percentage that was applicable as us as a town. All right. Now, if we go all the way to the beginning of page 2, this is just for the town of Lancaster. And since our portion of the bond was the 9,689,976, according to the information given to us at that time on 11/9, and our percentage was the same as up above. The reason the percentage can change is our valuation goes up each year or down. We accept a different percentage of the total bill. And worked it out to the point where it came to 17,615. That's $116 off from the actual. So I said that's close enough not for
Government work is what they say.
Yeah, for government work. No, it's close enough for estimating purposes. If you go down a little bit more to the bottom so I can get the notes. Okay, at the notes. I then took what was known and said, not knowing and knowing the rates can change, knowing that our percentage can change, and knowing that the amount can change, said, look, I think they're going to need 90 million for the next one, for the actual building progress. And then the last one would be the 40 plus to wrap up the total needed. Now, it could be that they do it instead of 190, they could do it in a 40 and a 30 or whatever. It doesn't have to total 90. That's my guess. But if it were to be 90, and if all the conditions were the same, the interest rate, etc., I can simply do it as a factor of what's known. And that factor can then be put in for the second bond and the third bond, etc. So if you come out with a total, if you go down the bottom, there you go. In the first year was 717,615. I think it came to 717, didn't it?
731, yes, 717, 731.
Okay. So if you have the second year on that and the first year on the second bond, next year, and if it were to be $90 million in the 1 year, that would change it to 2,000,008 we owe, of which we have $1 million set aside. That means we're $1,000,008 potentially is the word, short. And this is why it's so important for Jocelyn and Stan to keep us advised as to what the bond committee is planning to do, so that we can plug in a known or a better known figure, so that we know where we are for the 26 budget. I'm very worried that we're $1,000,008 short already. Now, I don't want to panic anyone. There are other big factors coming in, but I think we need to be aware that we've got a big nut to crack. And if you extend that to the third year, where we have nothing, we need 3.6 million. This is why, and I will get into it next meeting, I keep track of the 11 accounts that are working in town, the 580 and the 696 Fort Pond Road, the Capital Group, etc.
Mhm.
There is enough money in their permit fees to begin to end then their final taxes once they're done to cover these costs. However, I'm in touch with most of them, with all of them on a pretty regular basis, and they have no intention at this time with their current fiscal policy, with the interest rates, of building anything on spec. They would start building tomorrow, all of them have said, if they had a client. What does that say about the future? Well, what it says is we better be pretty careful and keep track of what is happening with these groups. And that will be a subject of the next meeting.
Dick, some commentary?
Sure.
If going back and reading some of these notes of the minutes of meetings previously, and I remember Michelle making a comment on it as well. I brought up the fact that they were modeling at one point in time interest rates on the loan of 3.5%. Well, they're a little bit off on that 3.5 because I think what I just read on a number of lines in here, it's 5%, a mere delta of 40%. That's huge. That's enormous. Why they modeled that to begin with, I'm still puzzled. A year ago, this wasn't 5 years ago. This happened within the past year, I believe. And I just was curious, how can they be off so much in terms of estimation? It's going to throw all these numbers in out of whack. That's a huge, huge difference.
Well, I'm using the 5.5% here. If you go up to the top of page 2, if you could, Cheryl.
But are we not paying it 5%, or am I misreading that? It says 5 there, but is that a projection or is that an actual? Is that an actual?
Yes, that is the actual for that known, for the one bond that has been issued so far. It started out at 4.5 and moved up to 5%. The 3.5, I don't know where that came from. I never heard of that myself. But that's why I say the interest rate could change, our percentage could change, or maybe they don't take 90 million. Maybe they do it in 2 slots, which isn't always advantageous because you realize that the first year payment is the greatest payment of all because of the makeup factor. But in any event, we don't know how that bond committee is going to take money to build out. If you drive by the high school, you can see everything is torn up, so they aren't going to stop. So I'm also hearing that Bolton and Stowe are quite concerned too, especially Bolton, which is worried about an override themselves. But these are all, we need clarification. There's enough rumor out there to satisfy everyone. Let's get some clarification. That's why it's important that Jocelyn and Stan keep us advised, if they will. All I'm saying is we're looking at a potential, if I'm anywhere near right, a 1.5 to 1.8 million shortfall on the 26 budget before we even get started with town expenses. We've done a tremendous job in the town. There's nothing we can do about the school. It got voted and it's happening. Let's hope my figures are wrong. Anyone else have any comments about this?
Yeah, I'd like to just second Stan's set of questions about the interest rate. I just pulled out some notes back from the September time frame when we approved the high school. And what I have in my notes is that the interest rate was between 4 and 4.5 at that time. because we used 4.25 to model some of the scenarios. So I agree, we need to get clarity on the interest rate, because I was surprised too to see the 5% here, Stan. That's a big difference. So clarity on interest rates is the first question that I would ask. And then I hear your point, Dick, in terms of the step up in terms of expense, in terms of high school cost expenses for next year. For next year, and then the year after that is an even bigger hurdle.
That's right.
Right. So some clarity on interest rates and what their best estimate of the tranche rate is going to be for these bonds. What are they taking out and when and at what interest rate?
Right. Now you have to realize that when I went to 90 million and I went to 43 million, I did that by factoring. And factoring to me is good enough for initial budgeting purposes. Next step would be to, when they tell you what they want to do, and then the final will be when we actually find out what they do. But we're somewhere at something we need to think about. That's all I'm saying. And I hope that will, for instance, Mike Silva has been very good about keeping me posted as to what's going on at what we call Jones Crossing or Carter's Lane. So far in building permit fees, we've collected over $38,000 from that. However, there are 32 homes there. Let's say 16 students come out of that. And I know we're already paying, but it's $16,000 per student. That's a lot of money. And the permit fees aren't going to pay for that year after year, nor are the taxes. So these are things we need to look at so that we're ahead of the game, not trying to catch up as time goes on. All right. Are there any questions about this? Jocelyn, did you get the copy I sent you? Are you there, Jocelyn?
No, I don't have the copy.
Huh.
I can send this out to everyone.
All right. Well, you can do it, Cheryl?
I'll send it out, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Just so everyone has a copy now, please, this is my work, not yours. Feel free to correct it or question it or do anything. Please feel free to do that. All right. Are there any more questions about this? All right. If not, let us move on to, is there any old business that anyone would like to bring up? Not hearing any. Is there any new business that's come up? Okay, not hearing any. Let's move on to the next meeting date. I have down, we could do it 8/13 or 8/6 or 8/20. Does anyone have a preference? I'm saying 8/13 for a year, a month apart. Anyone out of town at that time on vacation?
No.
I'm available 8/13.
Yeah, I am as well.
All right, well, let's make it 8/13 at 6:15 then.
Okay.
Not hearing any other business, old, new, or just thought of. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
A second.
And second, Jocelyn,
Yes.
Stan,
Yeah, okay, yes.
yeah, Roy,
Yes.
and Dick. Yes, thank you very much. And we'll get all that information out to you. Thank you, Cheryl.